innocent heart of God. To have a journey be completely to discover your innocence is breathtaking. It's a breathtaking lifetime that your intention and your focus becomes to affirm the innocence and perfection within. And also the affirming of all beloveds as the innocence of God. By words, that sounds pretty simple, to affirm the innocence within and to open the heart to the truth of your being and to see the innocence of each beloved in humanity. It's a simple task, it's a simple journey, and yet because of the ego's dominance of the world, because it made this world, the ego has no intention of bringing innocence to the light. And it is the ego that we are called to ignore, to no longer see it as our God. Because before the realization that you are one with God, everyone in this world believes that they are one with the ego, and that is the God that is revered, the self-identity. So even though remembering the truth of innocence is a simple journey, it goes against everything that has already been made in this world. In the world of the ego, there is no innocence. It is a world of suspicion, a world of doubt, a world of scarcity. And all of these elements work together through the minds of everyone. It works together to distract and disavow and lie about the truth. If you believe in scarcity, which everyone really does within the world, and it's a learning to step out of that belief system. But in the belief of scarcity, it's almost impossible not to be suspicious. Because when you believe in scarcity, you see through the lens of lack. And in that lens, everyone seems they are also coming through that perception. And you either see some as having too much, some having not enough, but that there is no union and there is no balance and harmony. And that is the true healing, to open to the abundance of love that is right here and is the truth of every beloved. That there cannot be any comparisons. That it's impossible to compare, assess others that are exactly like you. Reflections of perfection, of innocence. So how can we judge? How can we compare? How can we assess? We can't. It just becomes simple. Sometimes we receive clarity so that we can serve more easily, more fully. But that's a very delicate road that does not ask for your own impressions or your own opinions, but to see how you can serve and open to the guidance of that service. And at the very center of it all is seeing everyone with holy, true, innocent equality. There's an element of the ego that is everyone's kind of hidden, one of the hidden sides that doesn't get shown too much. It's used, but it doesn't get shown too much. And that is that every once in a while, every beloved has walked through this, but every once in a while there is a feeling that you see somebody and you realize that you're better off than they are, that you are. And it's not just the monetary levels. It's that somehow you see that you have an ability to navigate the world in an easier way. And that can either bring compassion or it can bring a flash of pride and power, of being more than another. That flash of pride, of power, it is a very painful place because it has no truth and it has no love. And it is a very painful place. And it absolutely has no service. It has no truth in it. That beloved that we don't know, may never know in any statistical way, that beloved cannot be judged as having more or less, because there's no way that anyone can see the truth of every beloved in their journey. No one knows another's journey. And the subtleties of how to hold beloveds in truth is a deep learning of love and learning of compassion. And this is one of the ways that other beloveds set us free, by coming into our awareness and giving us the opportunity to see through truth and love instead of the ego's decisions of knowing with comparisons and differences. There's the thing with differences and comparisons is that there's a high that comes with having comparisons. There's a high that comes with having differences in the belief that there are. The high is always for the beloved who's thinking of them, who's deciding what they know. But on the other side of the high, even when somebody has a high for a moment of like, yeah, I'm the one that's better off, the high leaves and the pain is still there. The pain of not being able to open the heart and embrace that beloved without any credentials. Because that's what the ego is actually looking for, is credentials. Are you good enough for my attention, my friendship, my time? And the most beautiful element begins to unfold in the spiritual journey, because when that is held, and most beloveds hold that to see the light of each beloved clearly and wanting to, and as you hold that, those truths begin to strip away the lies of the ego. It begins to strip away the wanting to see differences, or the wanting to compare, or the wanting to be right or know something. It starts to really fall away because you aren't using it. And when you don't use it to compare and see differences and evaluate, the Holy Spirit can bring healing. And you can open to that healing and find a different world from within. It's an easy place. It's a powerful place of embracing each beloved. And it's the power of God that is within you. That God has left you as a disciple of God's grace. That you are the representative of God in form. And that every time that you see equality and bless a beloved without knowing anything about them, you, the disciple, are expressing God's grace and bringing blessings and healing to humanity. And you're bringing blessings and healings to yourself, because that's what heals the heart, is the letting go of all of the ego's world of comparisons, judgments, and condemnations. Most of the time, when beloveds are thinking they know something about somebody, it's a place of learning. It's a place of opportunity, because it's guaranteed that we don't know anybody except in the truth of who they are. We know them as the light of God. That's all that we can really embrace that has any reality. They aren't their name. They aren't their age. They aren't male or female. They aren't the state of Oregon. They aren't where they were born, what size family they were born to, heritage. No one is their statistics. It would actually be a wonderful element of healing if everyone could secretly exchange their social security numbers and their driver's licenses and just not identify with it anymore, and you get one that you don't know what's on it. It's like they all go into a pile and then you get to pull one out, and that's who you are. And so you have a new name, you're in the witness protection program of God, and all of your information is no longer valid. Would that be disastrous? No, it wouldn't mean anything except to the government that made up Social Security and driver's licenses. But it shows how none of that has any true meaning. And there's nothing evil about it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad about it. The only thing is that when you identify with your driver's license as who you are, you're in a limitation. You're in an untruth because it isn't who you are. If your driver's license said no age and light of God, that would be the truth. And what if the driver's license said no history? No story, no history, nothing to bring. Would it be enough? Yes, it would be enough, because your divine essence, your worth is guaranteed by God. And it's created by God. And everything that we made in our quest for identity is now being, for everyone, unraveled. Don't be afraid of the unraveling. It's not painful. The ego doesn't like it, for sure. But that's not you. So if the ego doesn't like it, it's like too bad. You keep stepping into the heart and offering love and allowing that simplicity to be your center of your journey. And there is a beautiful element that isn't recognized very easily, that when you don't know somebody, when you don't know anything about them, it's so easy to connect with the heart, because you don't have to go through the filter of what you just made up. It takes patience and it takes practice to let go of the knowing. Conscious practicing. And it takes conscious practicing not to carry the information about everyone, to keep carrying that around, but let them be free. The world of oneness is here now. And it includes everything, includes everyone. But it won't be known to you, that oneness, really, really, without diving into the sameness. That's another, it can be another word for oneness, sameness. Does that mean that everybody walks around in the same body structure or the same clothing? No, because none of those things have anything to do with the truth of who you are. And imagine that everyone is together in this oneness, and there is absolutely nothing to get from another. I can't tell you how many times, and this was a habit that I'm sure was a universal habit, but I can't tell you how many hundreds of times that what would cross my mind was what I could get from someone, whether I just met them or whether I'd known them for a while. That from the back of the mind would come this voice, this alertness of that there was something I could get. And then as I would have that thought of getting something, I would recognize that secret thought, and I would put it back someplace and pretend that it wasn't actually there, even though it was. But the healing of recognizing that there was nothing to get and accepting it was so absolutely freeing, so beautifully freeing. And what I realized was that when I was no longer believing that there was something to get, and I surrendered that energy into the hands of God, I was open to offering love. It opened because I wasn't trying to manipulate anything or get anything. The wanting to get something was insidious. It didn't always have a goal of something. It mostly was more hidden than that. And it wasn't about always something material, but it was a strong wanting to get. That whoever just walked in or whoever was there for the first time or whatever, that's what crossed my mind. What did they have to give me? Were they worth my effort or time to even engage with them? It was all, for me, it was all forgetting. Not to forget, but to get. And the freedom of letting that go and no longer being hooked into getting from anyone was when breathing really began. When I began to really breathe deeply, because I was not in a race to get something. And I could relax and I could actually be with another beloved in honesty, in clarity, without an agenda. And for the first time, I could serve them because I wasn't looking to get something from them. And that was where the freedom was being God's disciple. Because that's when it becomes clear. Not a special disciple, not individualized, different than anybody else, but just opening to the truth that everyone is coming to, is to be that disciple of love. So in this moment, in dedication to all beloveds, some who are not ready for the spiritual journey and many who are, it's really inviting them into your heart and not needing or not bringing anything else with it. No names, no serial numbers, no statistics, only love. And as we open to that love, we affirm the purpose of this journey, and we affirm that there is only love, that this sanctuary is all love, and that everyone is united in the energy of God, as the creation of God, as the innocence of God. There is only one. Oh, teach me to open my heart to those who come here to be healed. Oh, teach me to open my heart to this love, to heal all this pain of this world. We have strayed from the love of our Father and wandered in pain since our birth. It was Jesus who came here to save us all, to release all the pain here on earth. Oh, my mother, the queen of the sea, it's your love that I feel inside me. Teach me to love from the depth of my heart, to heal all the pain that I see. My Father is here with his love. He shows how to care for us all. He loves everyone who has come to this work, all those who have answered this call. Teach me to open my heart, and I will follow. In the brilliance of the firmament, we meet the truth of God. And we meet the truth of all divine beings who come to help us to remember. In the brilliance of God's light, we praise all divine beings who have come to serve and show the way to joy and peace and harmony. We are willing to see the splendor of the light that shines on all of us in every moment and praise the truth of love itself. No infinito do espaço, onde brilha a presença de Deus e dos seres divinos que habitam todos os mundos seus. Veja azul branco, ella gupi mai rainha, no resplendor destas matas, Jesus Cristo, bom mestre, ensina. No resplendor destas matas, Jesus Cristo, bom mestre, ensina. In the infinity of space is the brilliance and the presence of God. In the infinity of space, you have complete contact and connection with the divine. That infinity of space is your home. It is where you belong. And the only thing that actually keeps beloveds from connecting with the infinity of space is the physicality of believing that you are a body and that you're only here. But in actuality, your spirit is in all the universe. No limitation, none at all. Getting blame straight. Understanding the physics of God and his indivisible nature makes every universe and atom confess, I am just a helpless puppet that cannot dance without the movement of his hand. Dear ones, this curriculum tonight is for the advanced and will get all the blame straight and end the mental lawsuits that clog the brain. That's God's presence. Takes everything out of the brain that has no purpose and puts everything in correct balance and harmony. Makes every universe and atom confess that I'm just a helpless puppet that cannot dance without the movement of his hand. Now, for many, this would be just a nightmare. I can imagine, and I was probably one of them that thought it would be a nightmare to be a puppet. But what was missing was that I was already a puppet. I was a puppet of the ego, doing the ego's bidding in every moment, thinking that that was the truth of God. So it's lovely, it's beautiful to become the puppet that cannot dance without the movement of his hand. It's just affirming that there is no distance, there cannot be any distance between you and God. God is you. God lives in your divine spirit, in your heart, and there it is. This curriculum tonight is for the advanced and will get all the blame straight and end the mental lawsuits. It's a beautiful place to recognize that when you accept the laws of God as the laws of love that are your laws, and you relinquish the laws, the rules that have been made up, and each one has their own rules. That's there's a universal agreement with certain rules, and then is that everyone carries a mental notebook in their pocket with their rules. Some of the rules are social rules that have been developed to say, oh, I like it this way, I don't like it this way, and I want it this way. But it's letting go of all those rules, all those ones that have been made up, and really only embrace the laws of God. And to realize that God can be remembered only in peace. The peace of your natural state is where you say hello. Hello, God. We're here, right here in the heart. Nothing else to do, nothing to say, just opening to the truth of God. So, in that, what stands in the way? Only everything that's been made up. And every day there are these wonderful circumstances that show up. Because everybody has circumstances that shows up every day that offers the opportunity of remembering. Now, many think that these are just random things that go on every day, but none of them are. Every beloved that comes into your awareness in the everyday is there to be in the remembering with you, having the opportunity of blessing, the opportunity of not knowing, and just offering love. But all day long, there are questions, and there is for each beloved has their own rituals that they do every day in their connection with others, and there's no good or bad of it. It's just looking at what is this for, because each one has their own specific circumstances that we each hold habits that get played out every day. And if we're not paying attention, those habits run everything. They just run. And we give them complete access and say, habits, I cultivated you, now do your job and let me just be in this habit. But the Holy Spirit is calling each beloved to not be the slave, the puppet of these habits, and to consciously be present to offer love. When the habits are running, it doesn't matter who it is, when the habits are running, there can be no love, because every beloved that's in the habit goes into a trance. And when you're in the trance, you're not connected with your heart. So it's a very important daily place to be aware, be present, and not allow the trance, the habits, to be in charge. When the habits and the trance is in charge, it's like being in a deep sleep. You know, that place where when you're in a deep sleep and somebody says, come on, get up, wake up, wake up. And everything in you wants to go back into that fog. And no, I don't want to come out of this fog. I just want to be in this fog. And that's what it's like for the Holy Spirit that's trying to call somebody out of their trance so that they can consciously be available and present. And the trance it is hard. It's hard to relinquish, because in the trance, everything just kind of happens. It's not a choice, and that becomes comfortable. So when the spiritual journey is opening and you're called to be awake, to make choices, there's usually a pretty strong resistance to it, because the sleep, this trance is easier. And for a while, staying conscious and coming to the place where you have a choice to make of either love or fear, you are able to make that choice because you want to. Not because you have to, but because you truly want to. And in that moment, you're no longer the puppet of the ego. But to be a puppet of God is to be the creation of God. God celebrates free will. The ego does not. The ego doesn't have any connection with free will at all. But when you are in the laws of God, your freedom is in a constant expansion. And it becomes easy, very easy. There are questions that the laws of God ask. When you ask yourself the question, what do you want from a situation? Almost everybody comes back to peace, except when it comes to relationships within the form. Many times those have agendas, and that's where the deep healing is within the laws of God. There's a structure that's been made that's not in the laws of God, that's in the rules of the world that everybody has kind of made. And it has to do with a spiritual journey. That there are so many beloveds who want to take a spiritual journey and make it fit into the world's journey. To take a spiritual journey and keep elements of the ego's illusion and kind of melt them together. And in that upside downness, there's a belief that there is a social element of spirituality that says, well, in this social element of spirituality, I can enter and I can find out all the information that I want about somebody else and hold it as a spiritual inquiry. But it's trying to combine your spiritual journey through the laws of God and the rules of the ego, and they can't work together. And what is that? It's the wanting still to know that where somebody comes from, what they're doing, how they got here, what their intention is, what their job is. It doesn't matter what it is, but all of those things are part of the ego's domain. And so in the spiritual journey, when beloveds gather, it's a new experience. It's a new experience that asks of you in the spiritual laws of God to go deeply into the heart and connect with each beloved's heart. And how to do that when we've had no schoolroom of that in particular. And yet the most amazing thing occurs that can't be understood or formulated, is that when you are in your heart, when you are available, the Holy Spirit orchestrates the connection. It doesn't have anything to do with distance or lack of distance. It could be someone 10 feet away, 15 feet away, 20 feet away, and your heart opens and you make the connection. You offer love, and it's perfect. It's perfect. In that moment, your heart opens, you offer love, you offer compassion, you offer gentleness, kindness, just in your heart. Your heart just opens. You don't have to check with the beloved to see if they've received it. You don't have to check to see if they are happy here. It's all in the Holy Spirit's hands. And when your intention is to love, it transforms. It absolutely transforms. They may not be aware of it, but they are in a receiving of transformation because you have offered love without conditions. And how powerful that is. How very powerful. In that exchange or that offering, none of the stuff of the rules of the ego are present. So all of the ideas of grievances and vengeance and the past exchanges of any kind, all the ideas of like you offered your heart to a stranger before and didn't go so well, but now you're going to make that leap again, and you do. You don't bring the past with you. You just realize that right here in this moment, you have love to offer. Unconditionally, because it's who you are. It's what you are. You are the heart of God. And all that you're expressing is the natural heart of God that you carry and that you are. And in this, you are expressing that you are the disciple of God, and you're offering love. It makes no difference who it is or for how long this heart opening is. It's not that anybody else even knows it, but your healing is occurring in that moment because you are offering love. Truly offering love. I found the prayer that is essential to healing. And this is why I repeat it pretty often. As we affirm and accept the truth of God, we accept our own true name is one in God's name. In this truth, we are united with all life, one within creation and creator. What we made and call by many different names is but a shadow we tried to cast across the reality of oneness. We are grateful we were mistaken and gladly surrender our mistaken differences to be dissolved into the truth of oneness, into one heart and one life. In that, there's nothing else to have to look toward, except that I found another prayer. Let me not be your critic Lord, and judge against you. Let me not distort your creation into any sickly forms. I ask you to bless my sight today. Today I choose to see a world I have forgiven, in which I see the light of Christ in everyone. I ask for nothing but the truth. Today I will not engage in dreams of the ego. Today I give to you. To not want to distort the creation is to want the laws of God. And the laws of God are the easy laws. It's actually very funny because the laws of the ego are actually very difficult, because they're all about separation. They're all about lack and difficulty and greed and jealousy and differences. And they're just all painful. And to be in the heart of God with the truth, there's no pain. And that's the clear indicator, because there is nothing in the truth of God that wants you to suffer. Nothing. There is no suffering in God. It's not possible. There's no suffering in love. So all prayers are to affirm and bring you into the clarity that you have only God, only love that is calling to you. If you can hold no grievances and know, then you will learn to know yourself. The grievances of the world are always connected with vengeance. I had a beloved today say to me that they really wanted to teach somebody a lesson. They really wanted to teach somebody a lesson, and they kind of went off into this fantasy, what they were going to say to another beloved about what they needed to teach them. And I said to this beloved, do you really think that you're going to teach them something when you have so much determination to be right? There's no way that you're going to teach them anything. And they were just kind of shocked that they, of course they could teach them something. They were right. But in truth, the only possible teaching is with love. And if there's not love there, whoever it is not going to learn anything. Not in that moment anyways. And so it's like with this beloved on the phone, every single moment is an opportunity, because they had no connection with that this was a spiritual opportunity of healing. They were just determined that they were going to teach this beloved something. But I could feel completely that the beloved that they wanted to teach something was going to learn not to listen to this beloved. That was going to be the learning that they were going to have, because it wasn't loving, because it wasn't an offering. It was approving. And love doesn't have to prove anything and can't prove anything. Cannot prove anything. How can I perceive my own best interests when I don't know the truth of who I am? That is the teaching that brings most beloveds to a much deeper place, because if you can accept that you don't realize or know your own best interests, it automatically shifts you over to choosing again, and also asking, what is most helpful for me? How could we possibly know our own best interests? It's not because we're stupid. It's not because we don't have intelligence. It's because everything that has happened up until this moment is the past and not the truth of you. So how could we know our own best interests in this new way, in the way of love? If that beloved on the phone could have stopped and asked, does this serve? That beloved would have gotten a pretty strong, no, this doesn't serve. And that beloved did not recognize her own best interests. But the Holy Spirit always recognizes everybody's own best interests, because the Holy Spirit sees your entire journey and exactly what it is that is going to be most helpful for you. It's going to break through your journey in an easier, fuller way. And what a gift to always have the Holy Spirit's energy field and wisdom right here with you all the time. And to have the opportunity to just turn toward the Holy Spirit in any situation and say, okay, I haven't got a clue what's most helpful here, but you're going to show me the way. And I'm going to follow. And I am going to be extremely grateful that it's not my own mind that is making up anything of what the decisions are. I want a new way. I want the way of love. And the new way may be very opposite of what you're used to. And that's what most people run from. Because most beloveds want, oh, yes, I want to belong to the Holy Spirit, except I want to have everything kind of stay the way that I recognize it and I can deal with it. But sometimes, and I was one of those, sometimes the Holy Spirit says, sorry, everything that you made is a house of cards and has no way to bring you any closer to the truth. So your life is going to change completely. And thank God that the Holy Spirit was aware of what needed to transform, which was just about everything. It was almost like the Holy Spirit came in and said, come on, you're going to start your new life. And all I said was, can I take my toothbrush? And that's what I took. It was not because I was being punished in any way. It was because everything that I had made was upside down. And it couldn't be just kind of put into a different container. I had to jump into the ocean. And I was glad to do so because I didn't want to waste any more time than I'd already wasted by not jumping in. That doesn't mean that everybody has to jump into the deep end at all. But sometimes it's exactly what is the handiest and the best, is to jump into the deep end. Every moment, understanding the physics of God and his indivisible nature makes every universe and atom confess, I cannot dance without the movement of his hand. And what a beautiful realization that is, that we are created in the image of the divine, we are reflections. And in the perfection of love, we will all return to that one heart. As many are returning now, it will continue to be brought together as one. For every beloved. Every beloved. The curriculum tonight is for the advanced and will get all the blame straight, end the mental lawsuits that clog the brain. There's nothing better than emptying the brain of everything and giving it all to God. And saying, just take my mind and leave only the laws of love and direct me, show me, teach me.